Okay, so Godzilla 3D IMAX. I figure if you're gonna see an absolute giant monster, if you're gonna see the king of all monsters, might as well see it in pretty much the king of almost any style of watching a film. I don't have any XD theaters, and I probably wouldn't want to see this in an XD. I'll say this film has got a tremendous amount of an influence from Jaws. There's a lot of tease. There's a tremendous amount of tease. And a fantastic payoff at the very end. It's hard to get into a lot of specifics without actually ruining a decent amount of plot points that actually weren't covered in the trailer. But Ken Watanabe, great job. The guy who was Kick-Ass, I think it's Aaron Johnson Taylor, I want to say it's something like that, did a great job. He ends up being your male lead. Bryan Cranston, solid work. Elizabeth Olsen, it was great to see her in a larger format, because I've only seen her in a couple smaller films. Does a really good job being your predominant female lead. And this movie covers a 15-year time span, as well as its many major cities. So there's a tremendous amount of destruction. And there's a nice balance between the showing of the large amount of destruction, and then pairing it with the human interaction, the human dealing with what's going on, as well as trying to figure out what in the world to do with a giant creature. Like I said, nice teases, great payoff, solid acting, good script, great special effects. Do I prefer my Godzilla as the rubber suit, like old school Toho? There's a certain nostalgia to that, but seeing Godzilla as a giant CGI creature works pretty well. Some people said Godzilla looked fat, but I'm assuming they probably never saw that the old rubber suit was kind of chubby as well. That's all I'm going to say about the film. It was great, it was epic, it was awesome. It's definitely something if you want to see it and you want to see it in all its true glory, 3D IMAX, when Godzilla roars, you feel it. That is the way you have to see this film. That's all I'm going to say about it from that standpoint. I'm going to spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you saw the trailers, you saw a woman die with Bryan Cranston screaming. That's his wife. That's pretty much your opening. You might also notice Godzilla fights a flying creature. The flying creature goes from the Philippines, which actually brings forth Godzilla. Godzilla is kind of nature's way of righting itself. Ken Watanabe has a really great line I'm going to kind of paraphrase, where it's mankind thinks that they're in control of nature, when nature will never control nature. Nature is in control of mankind. So the first time these two creatures meet up, it's in Honolulu. And you get a 2-second glimpse of what they're going to do, and then it cuts away. So you see some of the fight on a TV screen. But they don't show it to you, they tease it. They tease Godzilla like crazy, they tease this monster like crazy, the male one that flies. And they tease that first battle. And it's great, because it's constantly building. It's like a great promo before a fight. It's just constantly building and building and building. And then they notice that they're looking at the sound patterns, and they're like, why would that thing call Godzilla? And they realize the male is calling a female that's in Nevada. It's the bigger one. So now you've got, you have some destruction that happened in Japan from a nuclear reactor. You've got a little destruction in the Philippines. You've got Honolulu getting hit. And now you have Nevada. So there's a strip being destroyed by this much, much larger creature. With everything going, they're going to converge into San Francisco. The U.S. military tries to throw together a couple of pretty solid plans. I still think it's odd that when Godzilla is actually in San Francisco, the military tries to shoot regular bullets. You'd think this thing is massive. It's like a walking building. You really think automatic gunfire is going to hurt this thing at all? But, the military tries. And then the first time you see Godzilla start to fight these creatures in San Francisco, they cut away to something else. And then when they finally do, it's Godzilla versus small flying monster. Then Godzilla versus larger monster. And every time he's fighting one, the other one shows up. So they're constantly pretty much distracting and getting almost backstabbing attacks onto Godzilla, going back and forth, until he finally isolates one of them, and then goes after the other one. And it's a great payoff. You know, you have this tremendous amount of building and building and building, and it's successful in its execution at the very end. So, beautifully, beautifully well done film.